How do you keep blood parrots brightly colored? Are they doomed to fade as they age? Today I want to share what I've done to keep mine bright, and if there's any research out there that we can learn from. Hi there, it's Connor. So I've been keeping blood parrots for about 1.5 years now, and I've made several videos on them. One comment I've gotten several times is about how brightly colored mine are. I'm often asked what I recommend to replicate my success and what foods I am feeding mine. It's common to see adult, larger parrots lose their color as they age, and most of the large jumbo ones I've seen at stores or even online tend to have a faded orange-like color. Over the past few weeks, I decided to do some deeper research to see if there are any steps we can take to keep the coloration bright in our parrots as they age, or if the coloration is mostly due to genetics. And so in this video, I'm gonna go through 6 different factors to focus on to keep your blood parrots color bright throughout their lifetime. It comes from a mix of my personal experience keeping blood parrots and what's worked for me, what others recommend online in blogs, forums, videos, and then what actual scientific research has been done, as there has been some actual studies done on blood parrot color. Now, real quick, before we get into the list, you might notice behind me, if you've been following the channel, that the tank looks a little different. And good news, the scape was redone. And not so good news, I actually had a problem with my filter, so you'll see a different filter on the back. But I'm planning on putting an update video out soon. So if you want to catch that right away and you're not subscribed, please be sure to subscribe. But anyway, let's get into how to keep your blood parrot brightly colored. Now, the first one starts with selecting healthy parrots. Now, if you already have blood parrots, you're kind of just going to jump onto the other factors after this one. But if you haven't and you're just thinking about getting blood parrots, I think this is the best place to start for wanting to get healthy, colorful ones over their lifespan. Now, the first biggest thing is you want to avoid any dyed parrots. Unfortunately, some blood parrots are dyed. Now, if you see any ones called jelly bean parrots and they're all sorts of colors of the rainbow, definitely do not get them. If you see them in blue, green, purple, they've been dyed artificially and they lose their color after a few months or so, and they end up just being a very faded look. So definitely avoid those. The natural colors blood parrots come in are red, orange, or yellow. Sometimes, even in those natural colors, they'll dye them too, just to be a brighter hue for stores to sell better. It's going to be harder to tell if they are dyed in that case, but if you see them at the store and they almost look too bright to be real, then maybe just stay away from them and look for ones that are just looking more healthy. Now, if you find a store where you get ones that are not dyed and you're looking to get blood parrots, you just want to focus on getting ones that look healthy. You'll see them at stores ranging from all different conditions. If you see them and they have black spots on them and they're just looking skinny and lethargic, I would avoid them. They might just be due from stress due to shipping or bad conditions at the store, but if they're not in good condition there, it might not turn out to be the healthiest in the long term for you. They're a fish that is very, very common. You'll see them all over the place at stores. Plan to get some one day, and the only store you see them at, they don't look that good. I would just wait. You're going to be able to find them again in a few weeks or so. Next is carotenoids in diet. So now it's very common for blood parrots to lose color over time, and they slowly lose color. This is why a lot of the jumbo ones you'll see at the stores or online tend to be faded. It most likely tends to be from a lack of carotenoids in the diet. So now carotenoids are vitamin A precursors that are found all over in nature. Some examples of where they're found is spirulina, algae, shrimp or krill, and as well as certain bacteria. So it's very common for these to be a natural part of fish's diet, and it's known to be how many fish get their bright colors, especially in nature. Now, I found a number of different research papers actually testing different carotenoids in blood parrots' diet to see their effect on the color. And so it's very cool to see actual research done on this species. Now, there's lots to potentially discuss here, so I'm going to summarize it, but if you do want to read any of these studies, I'll link to them in the description below. Now, there were 2 main carotenoids found to increase blood parrot color. I seem to have so much trouble pronouncing these words. They're very long words, but even after I hear them pronounced properly, I tend to pronounce them wrong, so I'm going to do my best here, but I'll show you the proper pronunciation real quick. We'll get some help from Google.
Canthaxanthin.
Astaxanthin.
So the first is Canthaxanthin, and the second is Astaxanthin. And they're both known for increasing orange and reddish color, And so that's exactly perfect what we want for blood parrots. So it makes sense that they have been proven to be successful in increasing blood parrot color. Now for Canthaxanthin, there was a study that showed it significantly increased the color change over 6 weeks for blood parrots, and they tested a bunch of different levels of this. Now in the article it cites that 0.012% showed the best results, with more than that actually reducing the effect of how much color it gave and actually had a negative result. And this dosage was more effective over lower dosages of it. Now, Canthaxanthin is a carotenoid pigment, and some natural sources are mushrooms, crustaceans, fish, and eggs. A few other uses besides in fish food it's common is for salmon and seafood. So the salmon you get at the store will be a brighter pink color. And it also has been used in human tanning pills. Now this is something that is included in most color enhancing fish foods, especially ones for blood parrots. The next carotenoid is Astaxanthin, and there also were studies that directly showed that it statistically improved the color of blood parrots. As well as the other one, there was a limit to where it had the most effect. It seemed from one study that 5 to 8% of their diet was the optimal over smaller dosages, and then once you got over that 8% dosage, it actually started to have a negative effect. And again, some natural sources of astaxanthin are algae, yeast, fish, and crustaceans, such as shrimp and krill. And as well, it's found pretty much in the same type of foods. Both Hikari Blood Parrot Plus and Hikari Viper Bites will also have this. And if you're looking at other cichlid color enhancing foods and color enhancing flakes, you'll probably find one of these two, at least in both of them. But you can bet that the companies that make these color enhancing foods probably read these same studies. And so my guess is the foods are going to contain close to the optimal amount of percents that were found in the studies. Unfortunately, with the foods, they're not going to give away their actual formula, but I would say it's very good just to, for blood parrots, find a food that has both of those in those and just make it a regular part of their diet. You don't have to feed only foods that have those in there, and as well as too much of it might actually have a negative effect, but just make sure a food that you're feeding them has both of those in there, and that'll be a great recipe for success in increasing color and making sure they have enough of both of those carotenoids in their diet. Next, sticking on the topic of diet, is just to have a varied diet. I think varied diet is so important for having fish, just to keep them a balanced diet and have them have a lot of different nutrients and vitamins all across the spectrum. So as I said, I'd recommend having a food as the main part of the diet that has both those carotenoids in that and is known for enhancing color. So I'd say either Hikari Blood Parrot Plus, Hikari Viper Bites, or another cichlid pellet such as Omega-1. They have super color pellets, and those are sinking if they prefer sinking foods. Now, to get more variation in the diet, what I'd also recommend is just getting another cichlid pellet or cichlid stick food or something like that that's for cichlids, just to give them another variation but isn't necessarily for color. I also like to feed frozen foods 2 to 3 times a week, cooked peas maybe once a week, and then another food I've been liking is rapashi gel food that has been known to be very beneficial. And I would just give a variety like that, and you can play around with stuff to see what your blood parrots like and what is easy for them to eat. Next is to have lights that have a red hue on them, and I think this is a big part in why mine look so bright. So really you'll want a light that has controllable hues, red, green, blue, and also white. Most plant lights, whether they're medium to high end range, will be able to do this. If you have a lower end range, they might not be able to. They might only have white and blue. I use the Current USA Serene Sunlights, and I really enjoy them. But I have noticed a difference between the light levels I leave it on for my blood parrots. For a while in this tank, my lights have a cloud cover mode where it's mostly kind of dim. The bright lights kind of cycle through, but you're giving your tank more of a dim look through the day. It does look cool because the lights are cycling through. And I mainly did that to keep algae in check. But I noticed from the level I have them on right now compared to then, my blood parrots are much more faded and not really showing as many colors. At nighttime, I'll notice when I come to the tank, when my lights are off, my blood parrots will look much more faded. So the lights, when they're bright, definitely help them show their colors. Now, I am using the sunrise and sunset mode. And so what the light profile is, it's white on 50%. Red is 75%, so very bright on red. Green's only 5%, and then blue is also 75%. That's why if you look up there, you can see it has almost like a purplish look. Well, having the red on pretty high definitely helps them show their colors very brightly. Next item here is a tank that is designed for them. So the first thing is you just want to make sure it's large enough for them. The minimum size for blood parrot for keeping one is 30 gallons, but obviously larger is better. I'd really say if you want them to thrive, because they do get pretty big and they are very active, 55 is really going to be much more ideal, and then you can keep 2 very comfortably. So I'd say 55 is ideal. Just having a larger tank will help them thrive better. Right now I have 2 in a 65 gallon. And ensure they are comfortable with the tank mates. Now you can keep them with all sorts of tank mates and even more aggressive fish, and that is very good quality of them, is you can keep them with like Oscars or arowana. Definitely do your research on larger species, but I've seen many people keep them successfully with those, African cichlids, etc. But the thing to consider is if they are with some of these more larger aggressive fish, they might not feel as comfortable and they're less likely to show their colors. So if you keep them with tank mates that they're comfortable with, especially if they're the most dominant fish in the tank, they'll be much more likely to just feel comfortable and show their colors. So that's something to consider if you just want the brightest blood parrots you can get. And the next thing is blood parrots absolutely love hiding spaces. They love caves. Now, one of the difficult things is once they get larger like this, many of the decorations in stores do have smaller openings and they aren't as easy for the blood parrots to hide in. So I definitely recommend getting caves. Like I have this big cave here, and all of my previous escapes in this tank have had a larger cave for them. So they love to just hang out in there, makes them feel comfortable. And so if you can get large cave, that'll be a big win. And also I suggest making sure that you have multiple caves so that each can have their own if they want. Mine are actually paired up right now, so they love to just be together in their own cave. But if you have younger ones or ones that aren't paired up, I'd recommend having enough caves for each of them so they aren't competing for that, and they're more likely to all feel comfortable and show their colors. And the last tip here is pretty general, but obviously it's important. If you don't do this, none of the other ones really matter. And it's just to keep stable, healthy water parameters. So just proper care. So just testing your water often, making sure you're doing regular water changes, figuring out what that has to be for your tank, and just ensuring everything is in check for the parameters they like to keep. They have a pretty wide range, so I don't think it's that important which it's at, just to keep it within that range, and keeping it stable is the most important. If you're attempting to change your water parameters to something different than what they come out of the tap, you're probably going to have more problems than if you just keep them steady for what they come out of your tap at and can just do more regular water changes without having to adjust stuff and having fluctuations happening for the fish. As far as my water parameters, the temperature is 80 degrees Fahrenheit. The pH is right around 7.4. And then I do have pretty hard water. The hardness is right around 14 degrees general hardness. And along with this and all the tips I said is you just want to notice what is helping your blood parrots. Like the big thing with lights that I found that was a big impact on them. And understand that if you do switch to blood parrot plus or whatever food, it's not going to happen overnight. You know, I would look at trying to follow these tips, and 3 to 6 months later, hopefully you have brighter blood parrots. But just notice what's working, notice what foods they like, and try to adapt them to that and try to just get them comfortable. That wraps up this video though. If you did make it to the end of it, I appreciate that very much. And if you did enjoy the video, a like on the video and a subscription to my channel is very appreciated. It was fun diving into the research on this, so I hope to do future videos actually looking at research that's been done on fish. But anyway, thanks again for watching, and I'll catch everyone next time.